What's a really awkward situation that everyone can relate with? Calling your teacher mom. When you've had multiple interactions with someone but you can't remember their name, but it's gone too far to admit you've forgotten it, so you just have to call them love or mate forever. I met this guy in my math class at the beginning of the semester and I never caught his name. We became friends and now it's the end of the semester and I still don't know his name. Not sure how to ask. I once got set up on a blind date by a friend. The guy was her brother. I unfortunately didn't catch his name, though. So when he shows up to pick me up, I'm like, you must be Elaine's brother. I'm Mama Cat 13 inches, hoping he'd say his name. He didn't. We dated a few weeks before I saw a bottle for his asthma meds in his car and got his name from that. I have a trick for this. Start being more loving to them, eventually getting into a relationship. As this moves further, propose and they'll say yes. And then when you're getting married, wait till the pastor turns and says, "And will you, person's name, marry your name?" and boom, you now know their name. What if we're having sex and she tells me to say her name? No, you misunderstand. This is why sex comes after marriage. When you try to contribute to a conversation and someone cuts you off multiple times, and you patiently wait for your turn to speak, even though it already was, but by the time the air is clear, the subject has already changed and what you were going to say is now irrelevant. I used to be a habitual cutter-offer when I was younger. I wasn't trying to be rude. I was just excited for what I had to say. I've reformed that behavior now, but if I notice this happening to someone else, I'll make sure to call attention to the person trying to talk. "What was that, John?" or something along those lines to make sure everyone is heard. When you're having a conversation with someone and you don't hear what they say, so you ask them to repeat and they do. But you still don't hear it and ask them to repeat again and they do. And you still don't know what they said. Do you ask them to repeat again and maybe still not hear it? Pretend you heard it and nod your head and hope it's an appropriate response? Stab yourself in the eye with a pen to create a diversion and change the subject? Just laugh. Say yeah and hope they didn't just tell you their dad just died.
Haha, yeah.
That awkward moment where you and somebody else try to let each other speak but you both try to speak at the same time and just keep failing. That would be a Skype Teams moment. It's happened to us countless times, especially since we're all now working from home. You mean McMurray and Wayne? You ever clogged a toilet in somewhere that wasn't your house? Thank guys, my inbox is now clogged with all of your oversized shit stories. Can't wait to binge read all of it. Oh man. I show up to pick her up for our first date. I asked if I could use her toilet before we left, and only had to pee. Speaking of, why the hell doesn't everyone have a plunger? It's a common item, and there really isn't a reason not to have one. Most people I know have the logic that because clogs rarely happen they don't bother buying a plunger. That's like not putting an alarm in a bank because people barely break into banks nowadays. When you walk out of the store empty-handed, feeling like you've just stolen something, it's worse if you make eye contact with the cashier. Or worse, the security guy. When you reply to a stranger who says hello, but then realize they were on the phone and not speaking to you. Happened to me just yesterday and I didn't get any sleep last night as I couldn't stop reliving the moment. AirPods have made this one so much more common. It's really annoying, especially if you work in retail. When you're saying goodbye to someone, and then you both end up walking in the same direction. Or when you turn and walk into a wall with people watching. Also when you realize you've forgotten something and need to turn around, but you don't want to just turn around abruptly because that would make you look insane. So you do a little performance where you get your phone out, pretend to check a message, sort of mime aha and then turn around. Or cross the street and then turn around to throw any observers off the scent. I used to do that until I read a very similar comment on Tumblr. Now I just turn the fuck around and go where I wanted to. When you say a funny joke but all you get is silence. I did this on a Zoom staff meeting yesterday. It was worse online. Somehow. Now you're that guy in the office. When someone asks what's going on and you respond good, you being called on to answer a question you really have no idea how to answer. I used to just say I don't know. Fuck my life. Can't speak for you. But whenever I said, I don't know, my teachers would go on a rant and say something like, why don't you know? You should know, or the old classic, at least try. And then when I try, I say something stupid, and everyone starts laughing. And the teacher says, "That's not right. God bless, I'm not in school anymore." Watching a sex scene with your parents. Visited my aunt and uncle 7 years ago and we were hanging out watching TV. My uncle clicks through channels and stops on Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Within minutes it's the shaved pussy party scene. My aunt and uncle sit there in silence watching, not saying anything until the scene is over while I sweat bullets. If you put an acorn between my butt cheeks I could have cracked it. A few months ago I visit again. Uncle flips through channels. It's Starship Troopers. Within minutes it's a sex scene and the boobies are out. I'm not visiting anymore. Not being able to pick up when someone else is completely disinterested in what you are talking about. When you're walking on a sidewalk with 2 other friends and you're the person that does not fit so you have to stay behind them. When you're walking behind someone that has a slightly slower pace than you, so you start to pass them. But then have that awkward moment when you're walking next to them before you cut in front of them. When you're next in line at the grocery store with your mom and she leaves you to just get one more thing and the anxiety and awkwardness builds because you're up and she's nowhere to be found. When you're pissing in a urinal and a dude just pulls up to the one beside you, even though there are 8 urinals available.
Hey, what's up everyone? OKPJ here. Thanks for watching my video. If you didn't hate it, give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe if you want to see videos like this every single day, and I'll see you tomorrow.